So many lives would transform overnight if they realized my life sucks, I have nothing going for me, really means I have nothing to lose, and that makes you a very dangerous person.
So let's say you have no races. Let's say you have no classes, no nothing. There's no purpose in your life. People need to have purpose to get up. They need purpose to perform. You need to get to a point in your life where there's nothing on the docket. There's no 5K, there's no I'm gonna get into school to be this or that, and still perform to the highest level. Because what people don't get is one day that thing's gonna come up. And if you're not constantly performing without purpose, you're not gonna be ready when the time comes. It's this magical thing, purpose, that we're all looking for. But what's funny about it all is that we need these things to perform. But we don't take a second to realize the purpose is always there. The purpose never leaves us, because the very purpose is you. You are always the purpose. There may be another purpose, like being a SEAL or going to college or whatever, but the main purpose in life is you. So if you wake up in the morning and you don't want to do something, you don't care enough about yourself. And that's what you need to really research is, man, why am I not doing this for myself? Because that is the number one purpose in life, is to better oneself. So that's the only purpose I fucking need. So the reason I get up every day, even though there's no race or there's no school, there's nothing in front of me, is because I have pride in myself.
So in any kind of game position, so like in business, right? Every position has advantages and disadvantages. And a lot of people look at the really big guys and they're like, man, they'll look at me like, must be easy for Alex, right? And I remember when we had gym launch and we had a very big company, I would tell the guys who are coming up, I was like, if you're trying to compete against me, I was like, you have advantages. I was like, if you're on a sales call, you're like, listen, you're just a number to Alex. You're never going to talk to Alex, right? Here with me, you're going to get my attention. I'm the one, right? I was like, that's how you're going to throw stones at me. I was like, but on the flip side, if it's me marketing to the masses, I'm going to be like, this kid's in his mom's basement. He has no idea what he's doing. He's been in business for 12 months. And of course he has no idea. Like, wouldn't you want somebody who has thousands of success stories behind it because we've made a system? Like, both sides have advantages. And so what happens is people are in this small position where they're more nimble, they can give more personalized attention to people, etc. And they see it as a pure disadvantage. And so you can flip the fact that you have nothing going for you with you have nothing to lose. And that means that you can take lots of risks very quickly and end up in the exact same position you are, which is nothing. And so if you eliminate downside, it should decrease your action threshold, meaning you should be able to do more things faster rather than do fewer things because you don't have a great life or things going for you. And so I think if people flip that, a lot more people would take action because they actually realize the advantage of their position.
Instead of spending time getting in the mood to work, just start working. Confront the work. People think they need perfect conditions to start, when in reality, starting is the perfect condition.
I'm married to that. I love that. Because if you think, like I obviously am somebody who always wants to optimize how much work I do per unit of time. And so I was, there was definitely times earlier in my life I was really romanticized by these like very extensive morning routines and supplement rituals and like all this stuff of mental masturbation around the work that needed to be done. But when I looked at 2 hours later and nothing had actually gotten done, the moment you begin working is when your output per unit of time goes up. And so that makes beginning the single greatest hack that you can have for everything else that you do in work. Because the thing is, when you start working, you start getting in the mood to work, right? Like everything else is procrastinating around the work that you think you should do. But like, I have noticed, for me at least, I have some big mental tasks, you know what I mean? Like big content piece or big thing that you need, like, it's going to take real mental effort. It takes me like 5 minutes of actually being in it to then get a little bit of a lay of the land to then get into it. But I used to take hours to delay to start the first 5 minutes. And so my time compression of when I thought I should start doing something and when I started doing it, over time it's just compressed to the point where it's like the moment I think that I need to start doing it, sometimes I just start it because then what happens, I get this open loop. And so rather than complete work at because a lot of people are like, I want to complete it at this really nice clean point. Stop halfway through the sentence because it'll drive you mad.
You have to have pride in yourself. You have to have pride in yourself. You have to have, there's something about you, whether it's your last name, whether it's just the smallest thing. You have to be proud of yourself. If you have no pride of yourself, I can't give it to you.
A podcast, if you start, is like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to post it. It's practice for me getting better for future me. Rather than like, this is the main game. It's like, no, the game is the whole thing. And this is just like, we're still in preseason. Like these scores, these touchdowns don't even matter yet, right? Now you can say yet, even though like I can still feel like I'm in preseason, but I think from a mental framework, it actually decreases the stakes associated with doing it. And I think that's been helpful for me, especially it was in the earlier days. The other one was kind of the equal opposite of this problem, which is not wanting to start because no one's watching, because it feels like you're doing all this work. What's the point? And so the little mental trick that I had was, one, I track lots of stuff. And the more ways you track, the more ways you can win. And so it's a little thing that I found out. So like if you track 100 stats, then you only need one of them to go up so you feel like you made some progress. So that's like an easy one. And the second thing around the tracking is that I would look at like the biggest possible number. So a lot of times you can see like the impressions of, a post that you make. Even if you only got like 16 likes, I got like 100 impressions. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, if there was a room of 100 people, I'd be stoked. Like that would be awesome, especially in the early days. I was like, I would totally feel like that was worthwhile. And so taking those little impression numbers and pretending that they were like micro events that I was making the work or the content for, all of a sudden made it feel worth it for me. And so the combination of I can have a small room and I'm really impacting, like when I get a view that has like 13 views on it, for like a video in the early days, I'd be like, well, shoot, I made this video and 13 people saw it. I was like a small room, like that works. But looking at both absolute growth and relative growth. So it's like, okay, well, I went from 10 followers this month to 15 followers this month. It's like, well, you can say that you only gained 5 followers. I was like, or you can say that you went up by 50%. And that was exciting.
I hear the same thoughts that everyone does, which is like, it's not going to matter. Like, it's fine. It's good enough. Like, I hate that. Like, it makes me sick to even say that, right? Because the thing that I like, David Goggins, right? He's got like, there's no shortcuts for you. I would say the one that I have 2 that are like my internal ones. One that is probably the most common is I will do what is required. And this work needs doing. And there's just no way around it. And it's just looking at the face of the work and it's like smiling back at me like, no one else is going to do it. And like, I love that one. And the second one is, but I'll know. And so like, even if it does go well, and even if everyone else says it's great, but I'll know. And it'll then rob me of all of the joy of all of those moments in that experience because I'll know that I could have done better. And the thing is like, to quote myself from earlier, like I've never regretted working harder, ever, not once. And some people are like, on your deathbed, you're like, no, because I lived every moment of my day doing what I wanted to do. And I remember I had a boss when my first boss after college, she said this thing. I had a particularly good weekend. And she said, I'm pretty sure happiness is stringing as many of those days in a row as you possibly can. And although I hated the job, that piece of advice has actually been probably has been my blueprint for how to live.
You wake up on a morning, it's cold, it's wet, it's dark, you've got no cartilage in your knee, you've got shitty shorts, whatever it is that's the issue today.
Keep talking.
You've got these problems, right?
I need you to keep talking about what you were just saying.
It's warm on the couch. Your missus says stay in bed. It's comfy. It's cozy. You've got work later on. You had an argument last night. You're slightly hungover.
Because I know every motherfucker ain't gonna do what I'm gonna do. So this is how you love a love. That's how you love a love. I know there's a whole bunch of people with that right there. That fires me up. That makes me fucking happy what you just said. That brings joy to my life right there.
Why?
Because I know there's so many people that have the ability and just refuse to get off that couch. Refuse to study a few more hours. Refuse to go deeper, to go further. And that's where I gain the advantage. It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. Most people don't want to go to that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra because it sucks. It's miserable. It's lonely. You talked about that you were kind of, lonely by yourself. I was the same way. And that used to hurt me growing up. Now I fucking thrive in that shit. If people can make up a mission statement, an ethos in which they want to live by, and every morning you wake up, you hold yourself accountable to that mission, not a company's your own. Make up your own mission statement. What do you want to be in life? And once you do that, now you can work with somebody to get better. You can work with yourself to get better. But until you know what you want to stand for, you will always just be sitting down. You'll never stand for anything.